I think you got to understand who's on the school board, who voted for the judge that's gonna lock your ass up. How about all these people that's running around in your community that be up at 8:30 in the morning and you never see them because you roaming around at 3 in the afternoon? They got voted in. They go to the government office buildings that you don't know until you get in trouble.
You can't hold us back. You can't hold us back. You can't hold us back.
Put your hands together, folks, and welcome Chuck D. My man.
Yeah. When Brother Romo calls, I move.
Several years ago, you spoke in Chicago.
Yeah.
But you said, look, folks, most of the land in America has been purchased. But the only real estate that can never be purchased is in between your ears.
Mm-hmm. And they figuring that out right now. It's like the real estate of your mind. To stay woke, you got to kind of work. You got to work to be woke. I often get audacious and say, I was born woke, but you know what? You got to work up to that. But this is a time where you have to stock as many people up as possible to challenge information. See, don't believe the hype. When we made that record, and it was partially from Noam Chomsky, because I went to school, had to do a thesis on this dude. And I said, well, it ain't I'm embracing any white history. You gotta stock information to challenge information. And the information, sometimes we call it BS. If you don't know nothing, how you gonna challenge something that's coming at you?
Right. You are absolutely well-read, always about constantly acquiring knowledge. And when people say, look, man, that stuff, that's just too much. That's just, I can't get involved with that. And I'm going, you do know that there is not a piece of your life that government in some way does not involve.
From the birth to the tomb. And if you're gonna be here in the United States of America, whether you like it or not, you gotta know about it. You gotta know its history, because when somebody knows about you more than you know yourself, that's slavery. That's volunteer slavery. Yeah. So it's almost like double the education we gotta pick up of what this place is all about, how it works, how it runs, that you gotta think global and act local. Before you get into the hyperbole and all the pomp and circumstance of what people think the vote is, I think you gotta understand who's on the school board, who voted for the judge that's gonna lock your ass up. The most important thing is just like, know your damn county. Know your damn county. Know your town. Know your community on the voting tip. Know where your kids is going to school before they zone them out.
Right.
Know that, all right, man, I done paid this money this time. I don't want to pay a damn bit of tax, but the tax I do pay is going to pay this much. It's like, so at least know that much before you try to catch and say, well, I want to just follow the Super Bowl of politics. Yeah, it's like, the local, sleepy, boring ass game in the Sandlot, you better be and figure out what that is.
Impacts you in a much greater way than everything. What I always say is, look, if you vote and your person doesn't win, you still a constituent.
Wait, well, voting is just the uniform and the kicks of the game. That's just the uniform. Now you got a uniform and a jersey and now you can play. After the vote, now the game is on. It's like, that's just the way it is. The first year I voted, I was 20, 1980, and me, with my radical-minded self, I voted for Angela Davis for President of the United States. And
you wrote her in?
I wrote her in, yeah. And then it was Jimmy Carter versus...
Right, Jimmy Carter versus
Reagan. And then I realized that, okay, this is the World Series pimp game at the top. And I just realized the game of mathematics at the top. And then we got Ronald Wilson Reagan, which devastated our communities for an 8-year run. And then you had the 4 years of Bush. But it was the trickle down factor that came out of that. It was devastating in the area I came from. I cut it really simple and dry tack when it comes down to voting. I tell people, like, voting in the United States of America is as essential as washing your tail in the morning. Now, you ain't gotta wash, but when you start complaining that something stink in the air, you start looking at yourself.
Chuck D. Always appreciate it, baby.
Chuck D, Public Enemy. 2020 is the next decade. Make sure you can see it clearly and be clear. Stay woke and be woke. Fight the power.